Hey y'all, how you doing? How you feel? And welcome to the show. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to introduce you to this one because if you've been rocking with UsernameTaken, you already know we love telling the real stories behind the names, but now we're leveling up. Custom Builds is a brand new series from the UsernameTaken universe where we take a look at how athletes and competitors got here, not just what they've done, but what shaped them. We talk about gaming, growth, and grit, and by the end, we build out a digital version of who they are. Stats, class, special abilities, the whole loadout. And for our very first episode, you already know we had to bring a real one in. Today's guest is more than a legend, he's a certified game changer. From steamrolling defenders on NFL Sundays to steamrolling noobs in Call of Duty, he's the only man we know that can drop a 100-yard run and a 20-kill Warzone match in the same breath. A four-time Pro Bowler, Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer, Nebraska Cornhuskers icon, and now a trailblazer in the world of esports and gaming education. He's a coach, a creator, and a man who's proving that life after the league can be just as legendary. He is the all-time leading rusher in Green Bay Packers history, the host of Gamers Lounge, and your favorite gamer's favorite running back. The one, the only, Mr. Ahman Batman Green joining us today on Custom Builds. Ahman, man, how you feeling?
I'm good, Austin, man. How you doing? Great intro, by the way. Awesome.
Hey, I gotta put some effort into it when you get some absolute legends in the building, man. You were just weren't you just out at the draft? It was in Green Bay, and you were out there hanging out and doing your legendary thing. How was that?
Oh man, it was awesome. It was a super busy week, but I got to hang out with some of my old teammates, made some new friends, and other former athletes out there. A guy from Kyle Rudolph, he was the tight end for the Minnesota Vikings. I ran into him and some of the older guys as well. But then one of a big project I was working on, we could get into it more, but Players League, we was able to launch that for high school students all over. I want to say we're getting to all over the U.S., but in 4 states in the U.S. that were able to participate and come to Green Bay for their first time in their life and experience the NFL draft.
That's perfect. I love it. I know you're working on so many initiatives, so many projects, but before we get into that, I want to take it back a little bit because, to every amazing man, there's that origin story, right? The Batman, the Superman, to Ahman Green in that same vein. Like, what was it like growing up in Nebraska, and what was the environment like to make you really drawn to the competition in the sports?
Oh man, it was. I say for competition in sports, I'll say it started with my family. It's my brothers, 2 older brothers. Dad, he played. Even my mom was a little athlete as well. She played softball when she was in high school. I think high school and middle school, but then I come a long way later. So it's kind of in my bloodline. So it was there from the jump. Doing things like teaching myself how to ride a bike, teaching myself how to swim. It was just something where I was always busy doing something like I am now. But then once I had learned how to play games, if it was football, if it was baseball or basketball, then later on, the video games came into play, or I say actually came in first.
Okay.
So, I was born in Nebraska, but then we moved to Los Angeles when I was like around 2.5, 3 years old.
Okay.
And my my mom married my stepdad, and then that's when kind of the gaming part got introduced to me, basically. My stepdad, he worked at Northrop Aviation in Southern California, and he was the IT. He worked in the IT department, and so
nice.
One day he brought home an Apple II PC, one of the old school ones that was like as big as of a table that you could find, and it was the computer. It was huge, and the screen was small. It was this big, all this plastic stuff, and then the screen was probably like that big. It was like super small.
And your dad, did he let you like kind of mess around on it and like introduce you to like computers?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he was. So he was fixing it. He got it fixed, and then he said, "Let me show you a few things." So he showed me how to turn it on. He showed me how to do a little bit of typing to hit enter. Hit enter helps you get to anywhere. I think it had a mouse on it, so showed me how to run around with the mouse, and he point and click and stuff like that. And he showed me how to do that, and then he said, "All right, it's a couple. I want to test the computer out, make sure it's running normal. So let me show you how to click into some of these programs that are on the system." On the computer system. So a couple programs were actually games. The first game was Oregon Trail.
Okay.
And the second game was Carmen Sandiego. And so I was like, so I jumped in, played a little bit of it, like 10 minutes a piece for each game. And after that, I was like, I was hooked. I was like, oh man, that was fun. And then not too long after that, he brought home a ColecoVision. and we
Okay.
started playing Donkey Kong and Zaxxon. And I played both of those. I had them games played so much where I could beat Zaxxon in like 20 minutes.
And
And I was
I love that these games aren't necessarily that you were playing, that they weren't competitive aside from you being competitive with the game, but like you said, you were being
correct.
competitive with your family in the house that's saying like, oh, I want
Right.
to beat this faster than you. I want to. So you got
Right.
to have that, like, that real couch co-op experience that you
Yeah.
if you gaming nowadays, that's a big part that's missing. So that's dope
Yeah.
that you were in LA, jumping on
Uh-huh.
the computer, starting to get consoles into the home. Where did you fall in your family? You're not the oldest, were you?
Yeah. No, I'm a baby.
You were
So
the
I'm the
baby.
baby. Yes.
Okay, okay,
Yep. Yep. And like what you just mentioned, the couch co-op came up later. So once we got the Nintendo in the house, that's when it started. We had Super Mario Brothers. Well, I'll say it was just me. I was the only kid in the house, but I say we because it was me and my dad playing. So I got Legend of Zelda at the Gold
okay.
cartridge, the original, Super Mario Brothers, and then 10-Yard Fight. And so we would play 10-Yard Fight against each other, go back and forth. And I think in the beginning, me getting used to the game, he won. My dad won a few times. And then I started playing it every day, like right after school, homework done,
Right.
nothing else to do but to jump on the video game. So I got better, and then I started beating him. And then Tecmo Bowl came out, and then I started playing that a lot more. And he tried to play me on Tecmo Bowl, and he was like, "You kicking my butt."
Yeah.
So that's where I started playing my friends in the neighborhood, and that was the couch co-op. It was no internet back then in 1984, 85, 86, 87, and we had to call up or go knock on the door. Hey man, can you come over? Can you spend a night this weekend? And we could play some, Super Mario Brothers. We could play RC Pro Am,
Yeah.
Legend of
Oh
Zelda, and
man.
some
Yeah,
Tecmo
yeah.
Bowl and Double Dribble. Let's get it. We
Man,
would
double
stay up
dribble. They
all
don't know
night.
nothing about that, Alma. Hold
They
up. They
don't
don't
know
know nothing
nothing. They
about
don't know
that.
nothing.
That's real balling stuff. That's fire, man.
Yep.
When did you make that transition from LA back to the Midwest?
Okay, so that came my freshman year going into high school. So
Okay.
I was an eighth grader. I'm about to graduate, thinking I'm going to Dorsey High School, which was a very prominent high school in South
Right.
Central LA. Football, baseball, basketball, track athletes come out of there
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
year over year. So I was ready. I was locked in and ready for that. And then one day I came home from school, and my mom and dad at the dinner table say, "Hey, we're about to move back to Nebraska." I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
Ooh.
"No." But it was a good thing. I got over it. It took me about 2 weeks to get over it. I don't pay the bills. I don't run my and all I do is run my mouth at that time, not much though. So I was like, I gotta roll with it. So we did.
Right,
We moved
right.
back the summer of 1991,
Okay.
and we stayed with my sister for a little bit till my mom got a job. My dad he had to stay back to sell some of the furniture, stuff like that, and some of the bigger things we had, and that we weren't bringing back with us. And so he came back a little bit later. And then we were, that summer, my 91 summer, the fun stuff was getting one of my nephews who I stay with, my sister's son, getting him into gaming. I had my Nintendo with me, I had my Sega Genesis with me. We were playing Sonic the Hedgehog, we were playing Altered Beast,
Okay, so
and obviously,
you went back like the coolest kid because you had the
right,
gadgets. Yeah, and
right. I had it all, and I earned it. It's because I had
facts.
my mom and dad. The rules was like I had to have A's and B's. I had to have my room clean, had to do all my chores to get more games, to get more consoles, to get more controllers if I needed a controller or whatever
You were a smart
that I
businessman.
wanted. Oh yeah. Oh
You said,
yeah. Once they gave me
I'm gonna
that
hit these deadlines so I can make sure I get right."
facts, facts. So when I came back to Nebraska, my brothers were like, "Man, you spoiled." I'm like, "No, I'm not." I was like, "Mom and Dad, I had to have A's and B's, and then I had to do my chores." I said, if
Right,
none of that got done, I would have none of this. They're like, "Oh." I was like, "See, don't be messing with
right,
me. I just
right.
didn't get this because I wanted it. I got it because I earned it."
And the
Um,
craziest part too, you'll learn as a parent. For the parents that's watching, is like that was also your parents love that as leverage over you. Like, act wrong, so I could take all those nice things. I'll make you pack it up yourself.
I wouldn't do that just yet. Cause your ass is mine.
right. It was only two points, two moments where that happened. Where one moment was um, when I was playing on my Sega Genesis. I was playing John Madden football, the first
Mm.
iteration, 1988 Madden, and I threw a deep pass to Jerry Rice. It got intercepted, and I raged out. I threw the controller at the TV. Oh, the game
Ooh.
is cheating! The game is cheating. That wasn't an interception. That should have been a touchdown. And my
Damn.
mom, she came in the room. She opened the door. Said, "Boy, what's all that racket up in here?" And I'm like, "The game is cheating. It's cheating.
Mm.
I threw the pass to Jerry Rice. It should have been a touchdown." She's like, "Okay." And she looked on the floor. She said, "Well, look like your controller's broke. You break it, you buy it." And I'm like,
Mm.
I said, "What?" I was like, "Wait a minute. You break it, you buy." I said, "I don't have no money. I'm a 10-year-old. I'm broke. I, I don't have no job." And then soon after that,
You out of
I came
commission
over.
there, son.
Right. So I went to so at that moment, I went right to my dad's toolbox because, like I said, IT, and I got a soldering iron because he taught me how to use that.
Okay.
Black electric tape,
Man,
and
okay.
a screwdriver to unscrew my Sega Genesis controller. Went in there, fixed the buttons, and the controller worked. And I said, "Whew." I said, "Okay, I don't have to spend no 30, 40 bucks on a controller because I don't have
Man.
that money." So
Man,
lesson
right.
learned right there. And then the other lesson was when being a kid, I was bored around the house. You thinking that how am I bored around the house when I have a Nintendo and a Sega Genesis? But I got
Man.
bored one day, and I went to my dad's toolbox, and for whatever reason, I decided to unravel the grips off his vice grips. Like I actually peeled them off, where you peel the
Right.
rubber off, and it's just the metal, right?
Right.
And none of it, like in my head, it's just like I was doing something, maybe a little ADD kicked in or something like that.
You
This
just had to get an itch
just
out.
right, just had to get an itch out, and I did it to like two or three of his pliers, and none of it occurred to me like, why did I just do that? And I shouldn't have did that, this, that, and the other. Anyway, my dad comes home from work, and he comes in my room. He's like, he goes to his toolbox, and he brings his toolbox to my room. He's like, "Boy, what's wrong with you?"
Right.
He said, "This the only person in this house could have did this is you. Like,
Mm.
why'd you do this?" And I'm like, "Look," I said, "Yeah, I did that." And he's like, "Why'd you do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just did it. I just don't even know why." He's like, "Well, okay, I got something for you." So he leaves out the room. He comes back in. He unplugs my Nintendo and my
Mm.
Sega Genesis from the TV, wraps the wires up, puts it in the box, and said, "You ain't playing this for 2 weeks." I was like,
That's that one hits forever. It hits forever.
I was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah, 2 weeks. Don't ask." I'm like, "Oh."
Man.
So
Man,
lesson learned.
yeah,
Lesson
yeah.
learned.
I don't want to tell stories about when I got in trouble because that's a whole nother story. I'm glad to hear that it's not just me though out here getting in trouble and overreacting to the game too. Because if you ain't
Right.
gotten into a fight or intercepted pass that you thought should have been a touchdown and thrown your controller, I'm not gonna say you're not a real gamer, but like a real passionate gamer.
Right.
Because
Passionate. You
man,
gotta
it
be
comes it
passionate.
comes out when it comes out, especially as a young person. You're getting so you
100%.
invest so much into that moment. All this time though, you have this technology and this gaming going on. What was the sports path like when you were that was running adjacent to this entire timeline for you?
Exactly. Running, adjacent is the best way to say it because then same thing there. Had to have good grades. Had to stay out of trouble,
You were at
obviously at
practice
school.
a
Yeah,
lot.
at school. Yeah, at practice a lot. So that's where the homework came in. It's like getting my homework done was priority, getting my chores done. Even though I played my games, sometimes were on football, all my games were on Saturday. And so after the game, I come home, even if I'm tired, clean up my room, go wash the dishes,
Right.
clean up the living room, whatever.
Were
And
you a three-sport athlete? Did you have a winter
yeah,
sport?
no, I didn't have. I was in Cali, so no winter sport. It
Okay,
was
you
just
did
football. It
fall
was
and track.
fall. It said football in fall and baseball
Oh,
in
okay.
the spring. So I didn't do
Oh,
track
okay.
yet
Oh, okay.
until
That
I
came.
moved back to Nebraska. That came back to in Nebraska when I
Okay.
got there, my freshman year of high school. And so now, like I said, we're back in Nebraska. Dad's moving back, now we got a place of our own. It took about 6 months. My mom got a job, got hired, saved some money. Dad had a little money too. Got our apartment, and I was playing my normal routine on the weekends, play some games, get my homework done, whatever, go to bed. But I had already been playing, like starting in LA. I was playing flag football at 6. I played tackle football at 8, and then 10 I started playing baseball. So you go back to that's when I started playing on ColecoVision. I was playing flag football basically, and so it was
Nice.
already built in. Come home from practice if my homework's done, which I usually got it done first before I left the practice. Then I could play video games all night long.
Like you had a
Until I had to
regimen.
go. Oh yeah. So until I went to bed. So
I love
that
that.
was like that was my routine, and so it had been there, and it was just the competition side of everything was the main driving point behind that, because it was like I got to beat the RPG, I got to beat Super Mario Brothers, or I got to beat Legend of Zelda, and then sometimes it was I got to beat it so I could talk about it at school tomorrow. Hey man, I beat Super Mario Brothers. I did this at the end of the game. Boom, 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 boom. And because we would have we had a group of guys and girls would sit there. We were all at the time. It wasn't really like we weren't named or tagged anything. We were just talking about it. But it was
Right.
basically a whole bunch of, second and third graders talking about video games. So we were big like geeks and dorks just sitting there. But nobody was calling us geeks and dorks, right? It wasn't we wasn't tagged with that name, but we're just sitting there, hey man, did you play with that wrestling game? Yep, I played that game. How hard is it? We will go over stuff, How hard was that one level on Legend of Zelda? Or
Yeah.
how hard was that one, level four, fourth world, world one in Mario, and we're breaking that down, talking about it at lunchtime, at recess, every day. Hey man, I
Doing the
want to
doing
see
the
you on tech.
analyst desk on these
Right,
games. Yeah.
exactly. Talking about Tecmo Bowl, talking about Double Dribble, hey, talking about, oh man, I heard this new console coming out, in Japan called Neo Geo. It's just like we're just doing this, and we're in elementary school. It was crazy to think about it now. And then the same thing was back, from junior high, then on to high school. When I moved back to Nebraska, it was a little different. I think it was because the Midwest wasn't as tech savvy as a city, or I mean a state and a town like LA was. So it was like in California, you go to the grocery store, or not even a grocery store, you go to the mall, and you got an kind of like a EB
Yeah.
Games,
EB Games.
and
Yep. Yep. Yep.
EB Games, you got Toys R Us, and you got electronic Radio Shack everywhere.
Right.
And with Nebraska, when I got back there, you had to go to the mall to find anything. It was just one place,
And it's usually
you know.
very far. It's not like you got
And
30 malls
right,
you got the mall that's like an hour
that
away. We had to take you
it
to the
was like
mall for
45
what?
minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes from my sister's house. It's like, and of course, you didn't have no money, so why are you going to the mall?
Yeah. What we gonna take you out there
Yeah,
for? All that gas.
yeah, yeah. We all that gas. We broke. We ain't got no money. Where you going? So that was the difference between LA and Nebraska. So I was outside riding my bike with my nephew and my friends, my cousins, and just playing ball around town. But then also school started back up, so I started to play little league football, and that's where just more. I mean, that's where I just started to grow. But along with school and football was my routine. Come home, do my homework. If I got a couple more hours, let's jump on the Sega Genesis. I gave my Nintendo to one of my nephews. The only regret about that is his sisters destroyed the Nintendo controllers that went to the Nintendo, and I came over to play it. I say, hey man, let's go play some Super Mario Brothers or something. He's like, all right, oh wait a minute, Giovanni and Natalia destroyed the controllers. I said,
Hey
what you
yo.
mean destroyed the controller? He said they were baby, they were 2 and 3 years old, and I'm like, do you lock your door? He said, man, they come in my room all the time. I can't lock them
Man.
out. I'm like, man, you are like 12 years old. You should be able to pick them up and move them.
Put them up. You know what I'm saying?
Like, get out my room. You
Put them
should not
up.
be allowed.
No, that's
But yeah,
real.
so I was like,
The
the
dog ate my
learning
homework
lesson.
vibes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The learning lesson there was I'm gonna never give up a console again. I'm gonna keep every console I ever buy
Man.
or is given to me for the rest of my life, and I have. I got consoles. I got all my system from the OG Xbox to the 360 over here. I got a PlayStation 4 in the other bedroom, and got 3 or 4 Switches laying around, PSPs, PS2 right here. So I was like,
Sheesh.
nope, never again.
So when did
Yeah.
you get serious? Because I mean, you kind of had your foot in both waters, right? You were gaming hard. You were
Yep.
also getting more serious, of course, as you got into 9th and 10th and 11th grade about the
Yep.
sports. When did you kind of flip that switch of like, I'm gonna be playing sports, and I know like that I'm kind of on that track where I'm sure the scouts were starting to talk to you. I'm sure you had that
Oh,
opportunity as you were getting a little name for yourself, doing the awesome
yeah.
things you did. But when were you like, the games are gonna stay? Oh,
Oh, oh
oh
no!
no,
Oh
oh no, hold up, pause.
no! Okay,
Oh no, what happened? Hey yo.
I'm here. I'm here. I don't know who.
It's all good. Hey yo. That's crazy. Not the whole set falling down, bro.
When I say rarely when I was in LA, when I was a kid, I got locked in the 4th grade where basically I knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. I told the 4th grade, no, not that I told the 4th grade teacher. 4th grade teacher, Miss Parker, she wrote on the board that day of school was go on the board, on the chalkboard, and write what you want to be when you grow up.
Okay.
And everybody, lawyers, doctors, teachers, mom, dad, spacemen, astronauts, stuff like that. The norm, policemen, fire department, firemen, stuff like that. And I don't think nobody wrote an athlete. I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but probably maybe a few people did. But I know I did. I go up there, I wrote, I want to be a pro football player and a pro baseball player.
Okay. You go for the Deion Sanders.
Right. And Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. Oh, yeah.
And then and the first thing out of her mouth is, that's too hard. You're not going to be able to do it. And I'm like, I said, what? And then I said some words that I probably shouldn't have said. And I got sent to the principal's office because I was like, I was like, why are you hating?
Yeah, right.
Why,
for real
why
though.
are you hating on me? I'm like, you a teacher. You're supposed to be motivating us.
Yeah.
And she's like, go to the principal's office. You're talking back. I'm like, all right, whatever. Okay. And that was because I didn't get in trouble a whole lot at school, so I wasn't even all weirded out about it. I wasn't worried about it too because I was like, I didn't do nothing too bad other than talk back to the teacher.
Right.
And the principal was cool too. And so after that day, so that I was locked in because, like I said, it was just something that when I played football, not only was I playing to I say win, but I was having fun, legit fun. I don't know if anybody how I can explain that, but I'll say this one time. Playing in my neighborhood with my friends, I'm having so much fun that I was running around with a smile while I was playing football. I'll get the ball handed to me, or I'll catch a pass.
Yeah.
And they're like, Ahman, why are you smiling the whole game? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, you running with a smile on your face and you just running dudes over, you're catching the ball. And I'm like, really? I was like, well, you can't see I said, I don't know that. I can't see myself. I didn't know I was running around with a smile. They're like, yeah, bro, you got a big cheesing smile while you running dudes over, or you catching the ball, or you making the tackle, or whatever you're doing. I'm like, man, I'm having fun. I can't. That's the only other way I can explain it.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's what it is. And same with once I got with baseball, it's like I was learning how to play baseball. Learning how to hit a fastball, learning how to hit a curveball, how to steal bases. Why and how you bunt a ball to get it in play, and how you read a pitcher from the mound, all that little stuff. How you learn how to play that sport was something that I picked up fast. And my brothers would always say, man, Mom, when we taught you something, you're crazy fast with it. We'll teach you one thing and you did that one thing, you'll learn so fast, and then you're doing other things on your own that we didn't even show you.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. He said, I know as I got older, my older brother said, if you had a superpower, that was your superpower. You could just watch something and then you had it like that. Because he's like, I didn't teach you how to ride a bike, but you taught yourself how to ride a bike. He said, you taught yourself how to swim. How'd you do that? I'm like, I just watched the kids for about 5 minutes, then I figured out what they were doing, and I jumped in the water.
That mind to muscle on Ahman is up. You understand how to coordinate things that you see visually or things that are spoken to you. You know how to put it inside yourself and know how to add your special character on top of it, which is just that joy for life. It sounds like where you're just happy to be doing it, man.
Right, it's fun, man. I was like, I'm doing stuff that I like, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty dope. This is fun. The video game part of it too, when you figure out how to actually play the game right and you're winning, if it's a competitive game like Tecmo Bowl or like Madden or Double Dribble, but even the RPGs games, they're so satisfying when you get to every boss level and you beat the boss.
It's a grind sometimes.
Most of the older games were where there are old school games where you get to the end of the level, you got to fight a boss. Now these games, you don't know when you're at the end of the level, and you're playing all these you're doing all these side missions and all this.
This feels like the real deal. What? This was a side quest of somebody's twice removed
So
sister, like, and all I did was
right.
get her bread, like, what?
And it was all to find the key. I'm like, wait a minute, you did all this to find the key?
Yeah, for a small chest, not even the
Oh my,
precious chest.
yeah. Where's the big money? Where's the big bag at, man?
Hey,
I want the bag. I don't want the little bag. I want the big bag of money.
hey, well,
What's up?
before we get even deeper into amazing piece that has brought AG30 to who he is today, we're gonna jump to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after this message. We got a brand new drink that we've been offering. I'm gonna make a guess on which flavor of Prime I think it is. You can head up to the server or a bar to get some Prime yourself, but let's get into this. Let's guess. Oh, that's gotta be the ice pop, for sure. I know my son, he loves that one. Super red. I can taste the red. Yeah, that's Tropical Punch for sure. I'm gonna lock in Tropical Punch on number 2. Strawberry banana. Absolutely. That is probably my favorite one. Hello? Oh my gosh, I need like a palate cleanser. Is that Meta Moon? Hold up. Okay, yeah, that's my blue. That's my tried and true. Hey, I think I got them all right. 5 out of 5. Take a peek. Yup. Okay, ice pop, tropical. 5 out of 5 from the champ. Hey, you already know you gotta go order some Prime yourself. Let me know which flavor you like the best, and I'll see you around the arena. Hey, we appreciate you hanging with us through the break. Ahman, I gotta ask you, man, if at the time you were growing up, there were an esports entertainment complex like you see today. Not even like, it's not as big as traditional sports. Maybe it's not a household name per se, but it's established and young people see the opportunity. Would you have invested yourself in the esports route or in the traditional sports route?
I would have figured out how to do both.
He said, I would have done it. That's you love it.
Definitely. Hands out, because I've already said this to people. I said,
Yeah.
if I was 16 or 12 now, I'm figuring out how I'm going to play football and play baseball and play Call of Duty and play Madden and play all these games and stream. Like, because when I first found out about Twitch, almost 10 years ago now, it was 2016.
Okay.
And I'm like, somebody told me about it. One of my friends, I was out at E3 when E3 was still around. And they like, have you heard of Twitch? I said I had heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. That's what it was. I heard of it, but I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, what's this Twitch thing? And it's like, oh man, you just go in there, play video games. I mean, like, it's a place where you download games and you play. He's like, no. You go and like when you're playing your game, your footage from your game is going to go on like on a website, and people could come watch you. And I said, what?
You said what? Where did that start?
I said, that's Twitch? They're like, that's Twitch? I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, you didn't realize that? I said, no, I just thought Twitch was another, streaming, a platform for like G4 Network.
Or
was,
like, okay. Or like a YouTube.
Like a YouTube, I didn't think it was nothing like where an individual like myself and like you, we could just jump on there if we had the right equipment and stream our Madden game or stream Call of Duty, or just have a conversation like we're having right now. I'm like, hold up, time out. I said, how did I not know this? And I've been going to E3 since 2009. I was like, how did I miss this? But anyway, long story, after that, I was like, all right, I'm locked in again. So I'm like, all right, I'm done playing ball. I've obviously been done at that time. I was done playing football since 2009. It was 2016. So you're talking about 6-7 years. And so I got back home. I met John Ima, who actually was a young up and coming guy that worked for Twitch at the time. And I was in San Francisco for the Super Bowl. That's when it was the Carolina Panthers versus the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos ended up winning. It was Peyton Manning's, I think, last year. But I got a tour of the Twitch offices. Yeah, it was iconic, game. But being there for me was like an iconic moment because like I'm getting a tour of Twitch, the offices in San Francisco.
This is before. This is before Amazon.
I think right before Amazon.
This is before Amazon.
This is literally the week.
They're inking the deal with Amazon. They're
inking the deal because John, my guy John, he says, Ahman, we about to get bought out by Amazon.
Right.
And it was like the next week. And I'm like, oh, really? Sweet. I said, well, obviously that's good for all of you. So I got a tour of the offices. I met some of the employees face to face. They had a concierge for athletes to where if you want to stream as a professional athlete or former athlete, they'll help you with your equipment, give you
Nice.
ideas of what to buy and all that stuff. It
Wow.
was like, oh, okay. But then once I got home, it was pedal to the floor.
Yeah,
I went
you already had
online.
the tech withal to kind of be like, oh, I can
Yeah,
engineer a stream setup if it's going to be this, that, and the other. Okay, I got that.
exactly. Exactly. So just like a kid, I did on my own. I went online. I asked people what's the best. Some of my friends, one of them being no, I hadn't met him yet, but I just Googled up some of the best gaming laptops, to have, and then what are things you need. And I found out you need a capture card. You need good Wi-Fi or good internet. Good Ethernet. So I was like, okay, and then I even Googled like what are the popular games to stream, because I knew I like Madden and I like Halo and games like God of War, the old one on play at PS1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
And so I'm like, what is that? And then when I went on Twitch, I did homework. So I just jump streaming in that first month. So that first come back from Super Bowl in like the end of January, early February, the whole month I'm like researching my gaming equipment, my PC, my laptop, or PC or laptop.
Right.
I went laptop first, and then capture card. All right, what kind? I got my laptop picked out. I went with Origin PC. I met a guy there not too long after that too, which was crazy. And so I got Origin PC, and then I was like, all right, I need to get a capture card. So I started researching capture cards, and I ended up going with an Elgato. And then I started researching headsets, and I think I went. I actually had some headsets that were given to me. I can't remember if they were Astro Gaming headsets
Okay.
or
Oh yeah, those
the
are
old Turtle. It was some old Turtle Beaches. I had some old Turtle Beaches in my basement, so I was like, check. I got headsets. All right, then I need, I was looking at all the wires that went into the capture card, so I was like, I need an extra HDMI. I need an extra. It's a power. So I'm getting all the stuff detailed. And then I'm looking at. So then I go on Twitch and I'm researching streamers. I'm like looking at their
nice.
camera angle. I'm seeing like some guys had
You
their
so
camera angles like
serious. You so
like head
serious.
on,
You are
or
the
they had it from
analytical
the
man.
right, right. They're looking. I'm looking at their camera angle from this side,
Mm-hmm.
from down up. So I'm like, okay,
Some
I
people
just gotta
tracking
pick a
their
camera.
hands. Some
Right. I saw people doing, like you said, they had cameras on their hands. So when they're on their keyboard games, they see how fast their
yeah.
fans could watch how fast their hands are moving.
Yeah, and some people
I said,
think people are lying, especially if you're nice. They think like, oh, this is somebody else's gameplay. You cheated. This isn't you. So if you got your hands on record, like, yeah, but
right.
it's crazy. Like you said, when you dive into this industry, it seems like it's just a little, oh, they just over there playing the game. But like, there's so
Yeah.
much engineering and so much,
Yep.
creativity as well that comes into this stuff and a way to express yourself. How do you want to do it? And you found also a way to do that in the way that you played ball and in sports and everything that you
Exactly.
did. So it's cool to see that it's not necessarily that you get hyper fixated on one thing. It's just that you in general fall in love with things and love to analyze and study the people that's
Yep.
doing it well and watch the people that's maybe doing it differently than you would and at a
Yep.
quality
Yep.
that you wouldn't do it at X, Y, and Z and you put that all into your master plan. So I think we're
Yep.
getting a good idea of how we gonna custom build this AG30, a custom build for sure.
Right. Right. Yep. And so once I got what I'm gonna do, on stream down, then it was like, all right, now I gotta hit live one day. And finally, I don't know, I can't remember what day of the week. I could probably go back on my Twitch account and find out when I started streaming, but I know it was March of 2016. I know that much. So it was basically like almost about a month and a half after I had left Super Bowl that off season and started streaming. And I get into it, and I remember playing the game so hard, so focused like I usually am playing. I think I was playing Halo, Guardians at that time, and what I learned right away was from the chat was that I got to pay attention to the chat because I'm gaming and I'm locked in, just
Yo,
like I was in person,
mouth
or
mouth
without a
all
stream.
open, horse blinders
Right,
on.
right, and I'm not even looking at the chat. Like I'm not even paying attention, and I'm like everybody. I'm looking at the chat like, oh my bad. Like I'm seeing all these all cap all cap messages to me. Hey, Ahman, are you talking? Are you not? You don't talk when you get game. And I'm like, no. I talk. I told him. I said, hey, I'm new to this. I gotta get used to it. I didn't know I had to like. I said I knew I had to talk a little bit, but I'll get it. I'm just learning, and so it's just a process. And so now I'm really good at talking with the chat, interacting with them, asking questions while I'm playing. At first it was tough because now I'm learning. My brain has to now learn something new, and so I had to learn how to focus on the game and then ask a question or read a question,
Yeah.
or even go come up with a topic to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk
Yeah.
about how was your day at work today?
Yeah.
While I'm
Yeah.
playing Halo and I'm trying to get headshots, and it's like, man, I can't focus on headshots
Yeah, sometimes
and talk.
the performance has to be sacrificed for the entertainment. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
100%.
yeah, but
100%. I was like, you know what? I can't. I was like, I'm gonna miss a lot for now, but I'll figure it out. And now I could play a game and still be at a high level. I was like, my game is lacking, but it's okay. I got a nice little crowd. We're talking, we're chit-chatting. So I had to learn that part of the biz and just being a content creator, but it still was something fun that I was learning. I love learning. That's one thing. I was the only kid in every class that I was in that liked going to school. Like,
hmm,
everybody's like, you weirdo. I'm like, what you mean? I love school. I mean, I learn something new every day.
right.
That's I love that. So this was something where I was learning something new every day with Twitch, with the gaming space, and then like I said, being locked in was like, man, if I would have did this, if I was 15, 16, 12, like I said, I would have. I said I could create my own brand. I would have
Mm,
did that then. And
mm,
because I was like, I got it because like I grew up watching a lot of movies and a lot of TV. You know, I grew up watching a ton of horror movies, a ton of action movies, comic book movies. So I was like, I get Twitch. It took me like after the first couple streams, it's like I could have my own channel. Like, this is my channel.
your
This
channel,
is
your
my. I
legacy,
say
your
this is my
content.
network.
Right.
I'm like, I was like, man, it's like, because I started researching. Because every day before I went live, I would sit at my gaming area and watch people stream for 5 minutes, then go to the next person. 5 minutes, go to the next person. I watch a little bit of Ninja. I will watch a little bit of EA if they're streaming Madden, or Microsoft doing like a special stream for Halo or something like that. So I was watching the bigger companies doing it, and I watched people I didn't know, but I started following them. I remember one guy I started following. His name was Future Man Gaming, and now I know I met him like a year after that at an event. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I follow you. I was like, oh man. He said, oh man, I used to be a school. I said, how'd you get into it? He said, I used to be a school teacher. And this one day I started streaming here on Twitch, and then I just retired from teaching and started
Man.
making, pretty decent living at this. So I was like, wow. So I'm like, yep. And he made a brand. He had a funny logo. He had a funny catch. He was this retro gamer from the past that came into the future in 2018 or whatever it was at that time. So I was just like, wow. I
That's
say
so
you
dope.
can make your own network and you could be anybody, on Twitch. And then at that time, Mixer was around too.
Right.
So I started a Mixer account, started streaming on that a little bit as well. So, and then YouTube came a little bit later, but it was just like, man, you just gotta go get it. If you want to do it, and game as much as you want. But obviously now understand being professional, and that's the professional side of it is what I had down pat because I've
Okay.
been in the
Yeah, in the
NFL world,
media training that you had and
all
all,
that, right?
man.
So I had a leg up on
I
everybody
gotta
because
I gotta ask then before we get too
yep.
far forward on all the game, because you speaking of that, you've created so many awesome gaming moments now since beginning your streaming journey, and we're gonna get to touch
Hmm.
on that. But going back to your senior year when you were
Hmm.
committing to go into college,
Right.
and you were the most dominant running back that Nebraska has seen at
Hmm.
the
In a while. Yep.
at the high school level. What what was kind of going through your head, and what was that transition like from the high school to collegiate place?
It was something that it was. I just looked at it as going from elementary to junior high school.
Mm.
It was just another level change.
And you loved school, so
Um,
you were excited for higher
and
education.
yeah, exactly. I watched movies, where in the movie it's a plot where it's college students and stuff. So I was like, all right, man, I get to be a college student, so I'm kind of on my own. I don't have my mom and dad, right over me, hovering me, which they didn't anyway. But now I'm responsible for me, and so I gotta be smart. I gotta watch, what I do, or stay out of trouble, don't stay out late, things like that. So I was thinking practical, right? And but I was like, now, okay, I got my, I get on campus. I was all state. I was All American, USA Today All American, Parade All American. I was All American on the football side of it with guys like Charles Woodson, Randy Moss, Sean Alexander, trying to think, Peyton Manning,
legends.
Tim Ritter was a guy that was a local kid. He was also from Omaha. And so for me going to Nebraska, staying home, a lot of guys would go to different schools, bigger schools outside the state. I ended up staying home because it was more of a family thing, so I could be close to my family. But I just knew that it was it was just another level change. That's how I looked at it. It was just like me beating, like I said, you go play a board on a old school retro game, you beat the final boss and you go to the next level. So
Yeah.
I beat the final boss of high school and I graduated and I'm going to the next level. And now I know it's going to be a little harder, a little faster. Some things I might have to learn and process a little different than high school, but I knew I was ready for it and ready to kind of just take it all in and process it the way I always did. Like, okay, this is freshman year. Let me figure this out and my do's and don'ts, and let's go from there. And once I got on campus as a football player, because we started campus on early because we had football practice before school started. I knew right away, like probably in between training camp and probably my third game of the regular season, I knew I could go to the NFL then because I was playing and practicing against the best defense in college football, the Black Shirts defense.
Okay.
And
right.
so coming out of high school,
got this.
Right. And so coming out of high school at a really good high school, myself and another running back, Damian Morrow, was a friend of mine now, best friend for forever. We both were 1,000-yard rushers, running backs together. The only thing we didn't get to do was go to the playoffs. We had one hell of, 2 great years back to back, junior and senior year of rushing. So I knew all that. And then track too. I had the track, my track from coming back from LA, I had never did it in California, like I mentioned. So track was new to me, introduced to me my freshman year. And so by my junior and senior year, that's when I had pretty much again, graduated to a whole nother a level of speed and everything. I felt faster. I felt stronger. I was powerlifting too on top of that. So that was the winter sport that then came into the mix. So it was fall was football, and now was powerlifting between December, January, and February. And then March is when track season practice started.
How many events? Were you running 4 events or 3 events?
I was running about 3 to 4 events. So I was 100, 200,
1, 2, 4
by 1,
okay,
4 by 1, and long jump.
Oh, you were hitting the field too. Nice.
Hitting the field too. And I actually told my coach too, I could throw the shot put. Just show me the technique. And then I should have just did it on my own because I would have learned it fast and I was strong for my age. And because I had guys, I saw some of the shot putters, some of them were big, but some of them were like my size. And I'm like, it's all about strength. I was like, I got strength. I could toss a ball.
Good technique and a push on that one.
Exactly. Good technique on a shot put throw, making sure you spin properly and all that. I could get that down quick. But never got a chance to do that. But I had all that going on, but at the same time was the same routine, right? Come home, get my homework done. And at that time was, I think I still had my Sega Genesis. I had got the Game Boy. So I was playing a lot on my Game Boy, the original one, the black and white screen Game Boy. And so that was all still part of my MO. My guys, we would go over to my friend's house, Andy. We would sit there and have couch co-op Tecmo Bowl tournaments.
Okay.
All night long on a Saturday night or Friday night after our football game. We would go, hey, man, come over to my house, spend the night. We could play Tecmo Ball.
You had the bragging rights on those? You had the bragging rights on
those? Oh, yeah. They hated it. The guys that hated it. I would lose a few. I didn't win everything. I lost a few.
Those King of the Hills were long, though. You was up there for a minute. They tried to knock you down. All right, well, we got to take a quick break from the sticks then. I got to test that corn-fed knowledge then, man. I got to see if you got that Heartland IQ, okay? So I'm going to hit you with the special edition of Know-It-Alls. It's a new little segment we do here on UsernameTaken, and this is the Nebraska edition, okay? So question number 1. This is some relevant information.
All right.
Who is the person I'm describing, okay? He's one of the richest men alive, but still eats McDonald's for breakfast. Known as the Oracle of Omaha. What is the name of this legendary investor who still lives in his Nebraska hometown?
Oh yeah, that's easy. That's Warren Buffett.
That's Warren Buffett.
I can't believe he still eats McDonald's. Like,
bro, at 97 years old, that man still lives in the same house. Yeah, he lives in the same house.
I didn't know he was 97.
Yeah, he bought that house in 1958 for $31,000, bro. So he's still living in it, still getting his money's worth, and he just stepped down from his position as CEO of oh my God.
Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah, he just stepped down from his position as a CEO from Berkshire Hathaway. So that's a little extra nugget there too for everybody. But okay, question number 2. You're doing good.
Yep.
This Nebraska football team won 3 national championships in 4 years during the 1990s and was once coached by a man who became a U.S. congressman. What team are we talking about?
Oh, that's my Cornhuskers. That's the
know.
teams I was wrong.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were doing trick questions because our volleyball team was good. Our ladies volleyball team won back to back when we did too. So I was like, maybe he's throwing me a trick question here.
No,
that was the teams I was on. That was 2 of the teams. I was 2 of those 3 years of the national titles of Coach Osborne.
Yeah, no, I set you up with a little bit of a humble brag for sure. Absolutely. No, that's all for you. Yeah, you Coach Tom Osborne turned his football fame into a Congress seat, though, which is kind of crazy.
Yes. That's crazy. Dope. Yep. It was no surprise when I heard he was running, I was like, he's about to win. Like, it's no brainer. No brainer.
All right, question number 3, Ahman. Looks like you're having fun. Which Big Ten university became one of the first in the country to offer an official varsity esports program and now has alumni coaching and teaching in the esports space?
Oh, that's Nebraska. I think either Nebraska or wait a minute, it's a couple.
Which Nebraska?
Oh, which one was the first? Or you said the first, or which Big Ten?
Yeah, the first. Yeah, Big Ten.
So it's Nebraska, Lincoln.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And you actually were a big part of helping them bring that together. They actually contacted you when they started the program.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Man.
And that's my first school that I was at a D3 school in Wisconsin at Lakeland University. So shout out to Lakeland. They gave me my first shot.
I love it. Okay. Yep. And here we go. Which Nebraska city is home to the World College Series and has one of the top ranked zoos in the world?
Oh, yeah, that's Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay,
yep,
and you know the name of the zoo? What's the name of the zoo?
Oh, yeah, Henry Doily.
Henry Doily. Yeah. It's got some of the craziest places there. It's got like an underground desert dome. It's got like a crazy swamp area.
They have an aquarium too. They have a big old like aquarium in there. I'm like, why? This stuff you will see in like San Diego or Miami or somewhere or Houston and Galveston, Texas.
Omaha, San Diego, and St. Louis have some of my favorite zoos. For sure.
Oh, okay. St. Louis.
St. Louis. They have a free to enter zoo over there. It's pretty nice.
Oh,
it's pretty beautiful.
Check that out if I remember through there again. Okay.
Hey, but
my cousins used to live there. So.
Oh, your cousin's over in St. Louis?
Yeah, she used to live there with her and her husband. They live in Denver now.
Okay.
But they used to live in St. Louis a long time ago. Yep.
Hey, well, we got to jump to a quick break. You killed the trivia, man. You're on top of it. And look at that. You're a huge part of the reason we could even ask some of those questions because of all the awesome 100%. Things that you did, man. So really etching yourself in history. Ahman Green. If you're not following him on the socials, you already know you got to do that. We're going to link that below, and it's going to pop up on the screen and be so easy for you to find my friend Ahman. But we'll be right back with the final segment of today's episode right after this break. Hey there, UsernameTaken fans. Big news coming your way. We've been on an incredible journey, but it's time for us to level up. We're moving to our very own channel. Get ready for even more of the content you love, highlighting the real stories behind your favorite gamers, creators, and esports pros. Plus, we've got some surprises planned that'll blow your mind. So make sure you hit the subscribe button on our new channel, keep your notifications on, and join us for an amazing year of gaming, storytelling, and fun. We're back. Thank y'all so much for hanging with us through this amazing chat with Ahman. Ahman, thank you for all these nuggets, man. Like, you've had such an amazing story. And like I said, we're getting that much closer to finishing your custom build of all your stats that you've spec'd into your real life character. It's really awesome, man. But before we go any further, I got to know, you already have a username. You've already been somebody that's online. During this part of the show, for our friends that don't really play games or gaming hasn't been a part of their life, we're going to actually help them make a username here and help them make their username UsernameTaken, so that we can give them official seal, and then we give them that alias that they can move forward in the digital world with. But since you, Batman 30, could you tell us a little bit about the origins of that name and what Batman and its significance to your identity has been?
100%. So I fell in love with Batman as a kid. As a kid growing up in LA that I mentioned. And that was actually one thing I left out of, I forgot, but I could tell it now. But so it was probably between the ages of 7 and 10 where I started watching the old syndicated series of Batman, the old 1960 series with Adam West and Burgess Ward, where they had the goofy one-liners, holy rusted metal Batman, bow, splat, silly, boom,
but
on
like
the screen.
it was what the comic books.
It was corny and it was good at the same time.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I was looking at it. I was like, why Batman ain't got ain't swole? He was all out of. This is me being a silly kid, right? But no, that's where it started. And then what solidified me being a Batman fan was when in 1988. 1988 when what's the movie director? Tim Burton. Yeah, Tim Burton.
Yeah, the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah, when he wrote and directed Batman with Michael Keaton, Kim Basinger, Robert Wall, Prince did the soundtrack, the dopest soundtrack still of all time, and that did it. Like once I had a movie picked out, movie time picked out with one of my buddies, and then he bailed on me. I said, Mom. And my mom's like, you still gonna go to the movies by yourself? I said, yes, it's Batman. I gotta go. So she took me off. She said, all right, pick you up when it's over, and went in there, watched it, and was like, I'm Batman. Like, yeah, this is it. Like that. After I watched that movie, it was locked in from there, and obviously it just stuck with me. So first thing I did was after that movie, I came home, and then like a couple days went by, and I said, Mom, I had to go get a haircut. Me and my dad would go get a hair. We had a friend in our neighborhood that would cut our hair. So we went to his shop. His name was Reggie. I said, Reggie. I said, Dad, can I ask Reggie a question about cutting my hair today? He's like, yeah, go right ahead. He's like, I said, Reggie, can you cut the Batman symbol into the back of my head? And he's like, of course. He said, which one? Like show me. And I showed him from the movie. I found a piece of paper and brought it with me. And it's like this. And he's like, I got you. And he did. He cut it in the back of my head. I still have the picture. I just gotta find it.
No, you're gonna have to send that to me. I'm putting it on.
I gotta find it and keep it in place and give it to y'all one day. Get a copy of it. And so it stuck then. And then I think my first couple of days after that haircut, it was still in my head. My hair hadn't grown a whole lot. I went to football practice, and my head coach, I'm coming to practice. He's like, he see me take off my helmet. What's up, Batman? That was the first thing I was about because he saw it on the back of my head, and I'm like, okay, what's up, coach? How you doing? He's like, all right, Batman. All right, I like that. So he started calling me Batman. Then everybody started calling me Batman, and so that's when it kind of like stuck in. And then once I, through all my life watching the movies, every time the new movie come out, I would go see it. My mom and dad bought me the videos on VHS for Christmas, for my birthday.
Yeah.
And of course, when it came time to sign up, I think it was I can't remember. I was a PlayStation guy first, and I think it was on PlayStation. No, I'm not sure on PlayStation, but for sure on Xbox when I created my first Xbox gamer tag. And I thought about it, and I'm like, let me think about it. Because I said, I'm going to put some thought into this because I was seeing gamer tags, and I was like, okay, that's pretty dope. I'm saying, okay, I got to come with something that I want to roll with for a long time. And then so I just thought about it. I was like, okay, thought about it, and I was like, all right, got to go with Batman. And then I don't want to just be Batman because I don't know later on, what I could do with it. So I was like, let me add something to it.
Right. That one's going to become highly contested.
Right. I was like, that everybody's going to have Batman, right? And so I threw on my initials, AG, and then my football number. I had been rolling with since my freshman year of college. That was the number they gave me at Nebraska. So I was like, Batman AG 30. I locked that in, and that's been my gamer tag since I'll say 1999, pretty much, when the Xbox came out, when the OG Xbox came out. And that's how right away I tell everybody it's on Xbox and PlayStation. It's Batman AG30. That's where you can hit me up at.
Hey, so if you see him fragging on you and you see him getting dominating your Warzone lobby, watch out because he out there. He a menace, y'all. He a menace.
Yes. I am a menace on Warzone and multiplayer Call of Duty. Yes, I'm a problem. So, and I'm happy And because the one gun that finally got good at even in Halo is my sniper rifle.
Okay.
That's the only one. So that means I can reach out and touch someone from distance.
Yeah, nah. See, that's a whole nother level. He on a whole nother level with it, y'all. Hey, but look, Ahman, I think I finally have the information I need to make your custom build, okay? But since you're our first guest, and such a legendary guest at that, how about we do something that's there? I know you're in Texas right now. What you think about coming over here, seeing me in Vegas, and I reveal your custom build live in the building?
Oh, 100%. Let me jump in the ride real quick, get to the airport, and I'll
right
be
now?
out there.
Right now? Okay.
Yeah, like right now.
Let's do it. Okay, perfect.
Let's go. All right.
All right, I'm mic'd up. I'm ready to go. Ahman should be here any minute. If he really got on that flight, he should be here right about now. Ahman, hey, yo, what's up, yo? Hey, Ahman Green in the building, everybody. Okay. Hey, man, how was the flight?
Flight was good, man.
Okay, man. I see you already got mic'd up, too, on the flight. Perfect.
Hey, I'm always ready.
Hey, well, are you ready for what I got for you next? Because we've analyzed the interview, we've looked into your history, we've thought about your future, and your custom build is ready to go. Ahman, you ready to see it?
I'm 100% ready to see it, Aussie.
All right, well, presenting to Ahman, his UsernameTaken custom build. Bam, and there's Ahman Green, Batman AG30. You already got a great username, so we threw that on there. I got a custom moniker for you, but the strength on 10, of course, the tactics on 10, because the brain always there. Your synergy, great working with teammates, great instincts, endurance on 8. Had to drop the constitution for the late game injuries, towards the end of the career, you know what I'm saying? But in general, all around, just a stacked card, the legendary Ahman Green. And like I said, you got Batman 30 as your username, but here at the UsernameTaken team, we ended up coming up with our own moniker for you to add you to our list. The first of our many athletes that we're gonna be making custom builds of, and your custom name, Batman AG30, the download demon, because somebody that's always so quick to get it locked in, not only learn what people have shown him, but take it to a whole nother level and start to do his own thing. So my man Ahman,
that's dope.
thank you, of course.
I like it.
Now being the first guest, and this is just the first of many things we got coming through a brand new partnership with Allied Esports and the Alumni Esports Network. So we're super excited for this, man. What have you've been growing this and starting to work on this behind the scenes for a long time, right?
For a long time, man. So, man, it's just basically growing it and then goal setting coming through, because this is something I put out there a long time ago, probably like 8 years ago, about 2016, that when I found out they were building a HyperX arena here. I did an event here I told you about before, a caster event with my man Greg Zion. Shout out to Greg. And I was like, once this place got built and I saw it, I was like, oh man, one day if I could work there, I would love it. And it's here, but to have that dope ass, so excuse my language, dope gamer tag right there, you know what? That's gonna be my I might use that.
Hey,
I might have to use that one.
Official UsernameTaken moniker for the man, Batman, the download demon, bro. It's an absolute pleasure to have you, and I can't wait to keep doing stuff with you over the next couple months, couple years. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship for sure, man.
For sure, Austin.
Where can the people find you at, bro? Let them know.
Man, everywhere. So on Instagram, it's Ahman Green 30, all one word, along with Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. Then on X, it's the same thing, Ahman Green 30, Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge on X as well. Then also on TikTok, Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. And of course, if you want to get into the business talk, hit me on LinkedIn, just Ahman Green.
And he's always dropping dope content. Wednesdays, you already know, Gamers Lounge. He's covering a bunch of hot topics and letting y'all know what's going on. So make sure you go watch his Gamers Lounge. Make sure you go watch the rest of the amazing content that we have on the Alumni Esports Network lineup. And with that, we're signing off of episode 1 of UsernameTaken Custom Builds. We'll see y'all soon.